BFFs, welcome to my living room. Today's video is going to be a little bit different, guys. I've had a lot of people ask about my health issues, so I thought that I would give you guys just a little more in-depth of what all's going on with me, what it means, and future prognosis. So we're gonna have a special guest with us today. I wonder who that is. Is it gonna be you?
Whoop whoop. Okay.
So hubby is gonna join us, so let's get into this video. Hey guys, this is hubby.
How y'all doing?
This is Ben. Our camera, we're not sure about the angles with all of this because this is kind of the first time we've done this. So, bear with us. We'll eventually get it straightened out. But, I've had a lot of questions about my disease and things of that nature. And I just thought we would do a video together to explain to you what all that is. And let me grab my glasses. I got a feeling Molly's gonna jump up here because this is her and Chester spot, because this is where I stay most of the time. But I have one of the diseases that I have is called gastroparesis. Molly is making her a bed. She's going around and around on the carpet and she's bumping the tripod. Molly, come up here, Gibber. Come on. Come on. There you go. Lay down.
Good girl.
Good babies. Good babies. I want to say hello to everybody. I want to say hello to everybody. This is Chester. Don't you like Mama? You know I don't like that. And this is Molly. Molly is 12 and Chester is 11. So, but I have a disease called gastroparesis. That means that my stomach is paralyzed. Okay, goobs. Okay, there she goes. My stomach is paralyzed. The food, when I eat, it does not digest. So, sometimes, and it's sporadic. It's a vagus nerve damage. Sometimes the food will go down. Sometimes it will not. So when food sits in your stomach and your stomach expands, the food begins to pretty much rot, and the body's natural response is to expel it. We're going to go back to 2004. Hubby was called up for Iraqi freedom. He got his orders to deploy at a Fort Dix.
Yeah.
Fort Dix.
Well, yeah, we processed through Fort Dix.
And I started having heartburn and bloating then. If you didn't know, I am a registered nurse. I don't practice anymore. Hubby is retired military, Army, and currently works locally for our state. And I was working in labor and delivery, mom, baby, newborn nursery, you know, GYN surgery. We circulated our own C-sections. We had to go to NICU. I like NICU. Oh, those poor little babies. It just tore my heart to pieces. But I started having heartburn. I started bloating. And it was just like, wow. And I thought maybe, it's deployment. Maybe it's stress from the fact that, here I am, I'm home alone, again, taking care of kids. I'm working, kids are in school. You're worried about your spouse. Any spouse of someone in the military knows exactly what I'm talking about. You there's a lot of things they can't tell you, and a lot of things that you don't know. So I thought it was stress. That kept going. Fast forward 2006, hubby's home, where we built a new house. We move in, and all of a sudden, I start what I think is catching bugs. Like, it's like every other week I had some type of virus, what I thought was a virus.
Yeah.
And I didn't really tell my family what was going on. I just thought, well, I must not be washing my hands good enough. As a nurse, you pick up anything. So,
You didn't even tell me.
no, I didn't tell anybody. But I would kind of get sick, and then I'd be okay, and then a week or so later I'd get sick again, and then I'd be okay, and this went on for about a year. And then I got so sick once that I could not even get out of the bed. Like, I couldn't get out of the bed. I threw up for days. And finally, a hubby is like, what is going on? Like, what is going on? And I told him, I was like, I must be catching every bug in the world because I am getting sick frequently. So he, along with the kids, loaded me up, took me to my doctor. They admitted me to the hospital. And that was my first admission of many admissions.
Not bad.
Too many to count.
That was a long train ride.
That was a very long train ride. But it started to progress. And it got to where I couldn't eat for days. I would drink a sip, not even a glass, a sip of cold water, and it would come right back up cold. And I was going to all these doctor's appointments. I was just trying, I knew something was wrong. I'm in the medical field. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And it got to the point where I couldn't function without IV fluids. I was constantly in the hospital. Constantly. My electrolytes, my potassium would be so low, and that's dangerous. I'd have to go in, get IV fluids, get potassium, get nausea medication on board, and then I could eat just a little soft stuff. And then it got to where I was practically living in the hospital. Still no diagnosis. I had been to see every kind of doctor you could imagine, had every kind of test you could imagine, and nothing came back. So this went on for 5 years. Now, during this, I'm still trying to work. I am going to work. I am assisting a laboring patient. I'm going out of the room and I'm throwing up and I'm coming back to help assist her, and then I'm going to throw it. It was just, it was hell. And then it got to the point where the medications that they had me on, I was either zonked out or I was throwing my guts up and just in horrible pain. So it was just this constant roller coaster. And then of course the IV sticks. I had no veins left. I was being stuck multiple times. Well, finally, the doctors were like, we don't know what's wrong, so we're going to send you to a psychiatrist. If we think maybe you're doing this to yourself.
Yeah. That was fun.
And hubby is sitting here saying, I'm with her. I see her. She is not doing this herself. He is getting so frustrated. And I'm about to the point of I'm giving up. I'm almost defeated. Because I started thinking that, gosh, maybe there's some way I am doing this to myself. Oh my goodness, what if I do have something going on? Because apparently I must be doing it to myself if all these doctors can't figure out what's wrong. But how am I doing that to myself? Like, how? So I went to see a psychiatrist. And I'm sitting in the psychiatrist's office, and he listens to me as I'm going through and telling him all the symptoms. Started with heartburn, then it was bloating. I started getting full after only taking a couple of bites, and then I would just throw up to where I was heaving. And then I'd go, days, weeks, a whole week at a time without eating, end up in the hospital, IV fluids, NG tubes, the whole 9 yards, and it was just a vicious cycle. So I'm telling him all this is going on, and he looks at me and he's like, I don't think this is in your head. And he just flat, I don't think this is in your head. And hubby was there with me. And after that, I had another episode of, dehydration, low potassium, vomiting, and another GI doctor had just started the practice that was on call that weekend at the hospital. And he was retired military. And he started talking to hubby. Hubby was talking to him, and hubby just, they got to, of course, talking about, where they served and yada, yada, yada. Y'all know how, like, two old fart veterans get together and
brothers in arms.
That's right. Talk their war stories. But hubby just said she's not doing this to herself. Something is wrong. And like I need you to find it. I need somebody to figure out.
I think I told him I need him to think outside the box.
Yes.
That's what I told him.
Yes.
But, everybody's textbook here.
Yeah, because they're like, well, and the thing that they kept saying over and over to me again was, well, you're not diabetic. you're not diabetic.
Yeah. It's like, well, you're not diabetic, so it can't be it.
Yeah, you're not diabetic. So, and then they would just kind of stop at that. They wouldn't go further to say, well, what comes after? If I were a diabetic, what would that be? They didn't really go any further than that. And by this point, my brain is just numbed out. Like, all like nursing knowledge, medical knowledge. I was in pure survival mode. So this retired vet GI tells hubby that he'll do whatever he can to try to figure out what's going on, and let's start running some more tests. And hubby was like, well, gosh, she's had every test imaginable. Now,
do you rewrite the medical book?
Hubby was in there when they did my endoscopy. He was in the room when they did the endoscopy. He was also in the room when they did the colonoscopy.
Yeah.
He has seen, of course he was there when, kids were born too, but
there was a reason behind that.
Yeah, there was, but we won't talk about that doctor who was negligent. That's why hubby was in there.
How much it costs to get you out of jail now?
Huh?
I said, how much it costs to get you out of jail now? Is it still $200?
I don't know. But I don't know how much it costs to get out of jail, because I've never been in jail. So, but the GI just said, let's do a gastric empty study. He's like, have you ever had one of those? No, I don't think I've had one of those. Not yet.
Yeah.
One of the few that I haven't had. And he says, okay, what you'll do is you've got to eat this egg on a biscuit. And he's like, it is imperative that you keep this down. Because if you throw it up, we'll have to start the test all over again. So I'm like willing myself not to throw up. So I eat this egg on a biscuit.
It's got what, like nuclear?
Yeah, it had like radiation.
Some kind of thing.
So you could see like a
kind
kind of like a dye, kind of, so to speak, that the machine can follow through your stomach and tell how long it takes for you to digest your food.
Yeah.
That test took us hours and hours and hours.
It was about 5 hours.
And that's just, we were down in radiology for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Then they took me back up to my room and brought the machine up to do x-rays in the room. That's how long the egg stayed there.
Yeah, because you have to lay on the table. It's like,
right. You go in and they'll just x-ray you to see how long it takes to digest. So we're sitting there. It's late. It's probably 8:30 or so, and we're in the hospital room, and the doctor comes in and he brings the nurse with him, and then there was another nurse. I think there were like 3. And me being medical, usually when a whole bunch of folks come in, you're about to get some news that you might not want to hear. You know what I'm saying? So he says, well, I've got some news, but it's not good news. And at this point, hubby kind of stands up and he comes and he's, kind of behind me, like on the bed. I'm like sitting on the side of the bed and he's kind of behind me and he's got my hand and he's like, we know what's wrong, but there's no cure. We both busted out laughing so hard because...
So it actually is in your gut, not your head.
Yes. So we were laughing
Holy crap.
and crying. I mean, because I told you, and that's all I could keep saying, was tears pouring down my face, me laughing, the doctor and the nurses looking at us like we are Cocoa Puffs. But it was a relief, because all I could keep saying is, I told you I wasn't doing this to myself. I told you I wasn't doing this to myself.
No, I know you wasn't. I mean...
And then he says, there's no cure. There's very few treatments that work. So I tried all the standard treatments, the Reglan. I tried veterinarian medicine
You had to get that from Canada.
from Canada. I tried that. Both of those messed with my heart, so I had to stop taking those.
I can't remember what that was called. The one from Canada.
I can't remember either. It's been so long ago. But it was a medicine for horses whose stomach twist. And I can't, they don't allow it. They don't do it in the United States, but I could get the script through Canada. But, I was in the hospital from January 2010 until August of 2010. Pretty much straight. Excuse me. The doctors pretty much told hubby to
Take you out and keep her comfortable. There's nothing else they could do.
take me home.
Basically what they was telling me, that take her home, let her die. And that kind of floored me. A lot of things went through my mind, at that time. The main thing I said, nah, this can't happen like this. So the rest of the time I was there, I went down to the library at the hospital. They had a library and computers, and I started searching on the internet. Every chance I got, if she nap off, I'd go down to the library.
Yes, because at that point I had tubes, I had TPN.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like,
Had a port in you now.
yeah, I had all
They put a
kinds
port
of.
in you there.
But they pretty much told hubby to take me home and let me die, because there was nothing else they could do for me. And hubby was like, no. So while I was knocked out or whatever, because you don't get any rest in the hospital. Anybody who thinks that they're going to go to the hospital and have a good time, no. Every couple of hours you are getting disrupted. So the majority of the time I would sleep through the daytime. You know what I'm saying? Majority of the time I was knocked out all the time. I mean, I was just so weak, and
I had to go down to the library.
yeah, so hubby would go down to the library in the hospital, and he would research gastroparesis. I have some autoimmune things too, but he was like, no, this is mechanical.
Yeah, I just kept looking at it. I think it's what Medtronics.
Yeah,
It was,
Medtronics.
they're into the medical field, and I started searching on that and ran across the gastric stimulator.
That was in
No, Ohio.
Ohio.
Was it Cincinnati? the clinic up there.
So, Intera, Medtronic,
Yeah.
makes pacemakers for the heart. They make medical equipment.
Yeah.
And as Ben was researching, he found the gastric stimulator, which it's not FDA approved. It's for humanitarian use only. And what that means is somebody's suffering so bad that we can try it to see if it helps them a little bit, because it can't hurt them. They're already
Basically, you got to sign
downhill.
papers because there's
Yeah.
no guarantees.
yeah. I had to go through a lot of like paperwork. But hubby calls Ohio, and a nurse
It was a nurse.
answered the phone.
It was an RN nurse.
And hubby proceeds to tell her, they told me that, to take my wife home, she's going to die, that there's nothing else they can do for her. I saw this gastric stimulator thing that you guys have, and at this point he's like, I will take her anywhere. I will take her wherever. And the lady's like, where are you calling from? And he's like, South Carolina. And she's like, well, we have a doctor at MUSC, which is the medical university here in South Carolina, who does that procedure.
Yeah, he was
He was the
head chief
top,
over
he was the
gastric.
top surgeon, GI surgeon at MUSC, Dr. David Adams.
Yeah, cool guy.
Oh, awesome. He's retired now. But, oh gosh, he was just a sweetheart. But Ben gets the number. He calls. They get my records. And the hospital here discharged me to allow me to drive to MUSC.
Yep.
We went to MUSC, and on September the 11th,
September 11th. Whatever it was.
I had my stimulator placed. And when I woke up after surgery, I was so hungry.
He ate all their pumpkin pie.
Sweet potato.
Sweet potato,
Sweet
yes.
potato pie.
Fucking sweet
I was
Yeah.
so hungry. For the first time in years, I was starving. And I didn't want to start out with I thought I could have had a steak and, all this stuff, but, you can't, after you're not eating, you can't go eat like that. It'll mess with you so bad. So, Ben brought me sweet potato pie and a sweet tea. I tore that sweet potato pie up. And we were there for 3 days.
It's 3 days, yeah,
Yes.
for surgery.
3 days.
Yeah, about 3 days.
And I went home. We come back home. We actually stayed in Charleston. Did we stay in Charleston a day or so?
Yeah.
A couple days after, just so if there was any issues, we were there and we didn't drive the 4 hours, 5 hours back. That was both times we stayed after.
Yeah. Where was that out there at the beach?
Folly Beach.
Folly Beach.
Yeah,
yes.
we stayed at
Folly Beach.
Folly Beach. But it took, once I got home, I was extremely weak. You can't tell it by looking at me now, but I was emaciated. It took about 6 months.
Yep.
But after about 6 months, I started feeling a little better. Now, my battery, at the time, there were only 100 people in the United States that had the stimulator. And out of those 100, my battery has lasted longer than any of them. And they think I had a fluke battery because my battery lasted 10 years.
Yeah, that's right, 10 years.
10 years. And that is not normal. But I've since had my battery changed. I still get nauseous. I still throw up. I still have horrible days. But none of this compares to
It don't
that.
compare before.
No. My life is before stimulator and after stimulator. But now, I was always told that gastroparesis will destroy your organs. And I thought, no. I've got the stimulator. I'm going to be good. Well, the gut plays, it's the most important part of your body.
It's what feeds your body.
Yeah,
I mean,
and every other organ.
It's probably the most abused, that and your liver.
Yeah, it
Probably the two most abused
but
organs.
slowly, yes, the gastroparesis has started to destroy organs. And I was naive about that because I thought, oh, I can eat, everything's wonderful. But the thing is, the stimulator just kind of blocks the nausea and vomiting signals.
Yeah.
It doesn't really change.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't cure it, but
No, it just
it
helps
takes
with
the
the
place
symptoms.
of the vagus nerve, what the vagus nerve used to do.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
So, it sucks in a way because you miss holidays. You can't be around. I mean, food is everything. You celebrate your birthday, you got food. You celebrate Christmas, you got food. Thanksgiving, food. Like, every occasion
Pretty much every occasion.
has food. And when you can't eat and the smell of everything makes you sick, you don't want to be around that. And it's hard on families because they don't understand. They don't get it. And also it's hard, I mean, I have been through it physically, but Ben has been my caregiver. And it's hard on a caregiver too.
I think it affects everyone involved emotionally, because you're used to living one way,
Mm-hmm.
and everything's.
Oh yeah, we would always go out to eat. We'd always
Yeah.
celebrate, and whoever's birthday it was got to pick what restaurant they wanted to go to, and that's where we would all pile up and go. Mom, dad, brothers, kids, me and you. Like,
You don't ever think you don't think that anything like that's going to happen to you, and then
no,
all of a sudden out of the blue one day it does. And,
yes,
and things like that, it's like twists your life around.
it does.
360.
It does. Because while all that was going on, our oldest child went off to college. Hello, talk about then this disease, then losing my career. I mean, it's like, whoa. And I was bitter. Like, I was angry about all what I had lost. But now it's brought us closer together. It's brought my family closer together. Now, the grandkids are starting to ask and question. They know Gigi's sick, but they're starting to want deeper answers. Like, why? Why are you sick? Why do you have to wear your oxygen? Why do you have to? So they're wanting more in-depth answers. But But the reason why I tell you guys that you have made such a difference in my life is true. Because before I started this YouTube channel, I pretty much did not get out of my bed. I was back on a downhill slide. I just felt so horrible. And I mean, you can tell them.
No, yeah, she pretty much, she didn't go out or anything, and you know, we were talking one day, and she was watching YouTube a lot, and then she started watching budgeting channel. I remember who
It was Salisa from Beautifully Me and You, and then I found.
There was a few of them.
Yeah, then I found Emily at the Aesthetic Dollar.
But I told her, and we was talking one night, and she was like, I think we should. I'm gonna try this.
Now tell him you didn't.
I was skeptical.
You
about
didn't
it.
think that cash stuffing method was gonna work. Be honest. Be
I was
honest.
skeptical about it.
But being the supportive husband that he is, he's like, okay, you go ahead and
I said,
you
why don't you try
it.
it? So we was trying it, and it was working and things, and
He likes seeing that money in that envelope's what he likes.
yeah. More than that, though, I know she was starting to get out of bed things and getting around about in the house and things more, and so more important, it was doing that with her. And I said, well, why don't you start your own YouTube budgeting? And I said, you can do it. And so
Here we are.
here we are to this, what, a year later? A little over a
Yeah,
year
just
later?
a year.
Right
just
at a year, isn't it?
Yeah, we're about
Right
right up
here.
on a year.
Yeah, here we are.
But that is just a little bit of the story with gastroparesis, with chronic illness. I know there are so many more people out there, and August is Gastroparesis Awareness Month. So the green ribbons or the green heart, if y'all would leave me the green heart emoji in the comments below. We're going to get off of here because I think this video is probably long enough.
And I want to say, gastroparesis, it's misdiagnosed a lot.
Yes, because I wasn't diabetic. Most gastroparesis patients are diabetic.
But it mimics a lot of things.
It mimics a lot of
And that's why it makes it so difficult. If we would have known, and if they would have jumped right to the gastric emptying study, we would have found out a few years earlier.
Oh yeah.
But
because I wasn't diabetic, that's where that.
Yeah.
Oh well, you're not diabetic, so.
And gastroparesis was still in the early stage of not a lot.
Yeah, it's
medical field
more.
didn't really know
It's a really rare. It was when I was diagnosed, but it's extremely. It's becoming more common now. It's common in middle-aged women, and there's got to be something. It's got to be our food system. It's got to be something that we are all consuming, because we're just random. Like we're just. Scattered out. But I thank you guys so much. I thank you for watching and being here. If y'all made it to the end, y'all know y'all are the best BFFs ever. Mm-hmm. But I will see y'all in the next one. Until next time,
guys.
friends.
Bye.